Welcome to Native Bidaské, Native News Online's weekly spotlight on the people making news and leading change in Indian country.
Welcome to another episode of Native Bidaské. As you know, if you all have to do is turn on your TV, you see these election commercials. Well, this is not a commercial. Today we have a special edition of Native Bidaské is going to deal with the election. And it's coming up rapidly in good things happening out there in Oklahoma. So let me first introduce you to Neely Bardwell, our political editor. Hey, Neely, how are you?
Good. How are you, Levi?
I'm doing great. And we also have Margo Gray, who is the executive director of the United Nations of Oklahoma. Welcome, Margo.
How you doing?
Great. And listen, to our viewers in Oklahoma, let me tell you what's happening. The United Indian Nations Oklahoma is launching its second biannual Warrior Up to Vote event, a statewide initiative to increase voter registration among Native Americans in Oklahoma. And the tour will start this coming Monday, September 23rd, and go through October 5th. So Margo's here to talk about the exciting things. And Neely, why don't you ask the first question?
Well, welcome to the show, Margo. So like Levi said, you guys are about to go on the Warrior Up to Vote tour. So can you kind of first start by telling our audience a little bit about the Warrior Up to Vote tour?
Yes. 2 years ago, we received a grant from the National Congress of American Indians. And we did, at the time, there was already Rock the Native Vote, Get Out the Native Vote. So we focused on the candidates. Because for us, as we are a tribal leadership-led organization, of the 38 federally recognized tribes in the state of Oklahoma, we have almost 33 tribal nations as members, our tribal leaders. And so that's a very strong voice here in the state of Oklahoma. So we did rallies and we let the other organizations do the voter registration drive. And so what we decided this year is that with this election, we were really going to focus on the voter registration drive as well. You know, Warrior Up to Vote came about because, you know, we always look at our tribal leaders as our warriors, but every single one of us are. And so when we look at that on the issues of when we go to vote, you know, you have to vote for someone who understands sovereignty, who understands our tribal nations. You know, you look at the Black community, they look at, you know, the things that they want to promote, their issues like, the things that are in their community that they want to see better, housing, homelessness, drugs, guns, crime rate, but also so many of the other more positive things as equality. And then for Indian country, we're different. We have so many societal issues that we need to address, from rural Oklahoma to our reservations to gaming compacts to taxation issues. So United Indian Nations of Oklahoma, our focus on was a voter registration drive. And so we're doing our tour, and I'm just going to hold up one of our t-shirts here. Get the smaller one here. And this is our Warrior Up to Vote, has our logo.
I like that. I love that logo.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow.
And then on the back, in a circle, in a show of unity, I'll move it forward, it has all the tribes here in Oklahoma.
Oh, wonderful.
But in the middle, it says, when warriors vote, we win.
Wow.
And so we are, I think I talked to you about this earlier, that either it was yesterday or today, the governor here in the state of Oklahoma purged 453,000 Oklahomans off the voter registration rolls. When you do that before a national election, it really, we were already concerned, but it makes us concerned even more that our voice would not be heard. Our vote counts. And I know a lot of people and a lot of elected officials will say, hey, Natives don't vote. And to me, if there's that makes me even more upset, because I vote in every election that comes up. And so whether it's a small election in for a mayor or a sheriff in our county or a school board, it's important to make sure that our voices are heard and our concerns are met. And so here in Oklahoma, we're going and doing a 2-week, starting out in northeastern Oklahoma at the Miami 9 tribes, and then we'll travel through Cherokee, through the Osage, all the way through northern Oklahoma, and then down to the middle part. And we're going to end up in, we'll go to western Oklahoma, and then we'll end up at Chickasaw Festival. But 2 of those days, we've earmarked 2 different events. One, something that we did 2 years ago, is that we provide education for any candidate running in the state of Oklahoma to understand what sovereignty is. So we have guest speakers coming in, and tribal leaders and attorneys that will come in, and attorney generals from the different tribal nations, to talk about what sovereignty is. And then that way they can interact and, oh, this is why we need to have consultation on different laws that will be introduced, or bills that will be introduced, and how that will impact positively or negatively to the Indian nations here in the state of Oklahoma. So we have Larry Wright Jr. with the National Congress of American Indians, which I'm going to give them a big shout out, because they provided, I wrote a grant and we received the grant so we're able to do all these different events. And then we also have the great chairman, Ernie Stevens Jr. with Indian Gaming Association. You know, he's been a warrior for sovereignty for many, many years.
Yes.
And so, and he'll be speaking about those impacts. We've got pipe stem law. And then more importantly, we have our tribal leaders here in the state of Oklahoma. My bosses, Chief Ben Barnes, Chief David Hill. We have some of our member tribal leaders that will be here that have been invited, like Chief Hoskins and many others that will be here to talk about what sovereignty is. And then in the afternoon, we have provided all the candidates with questions about sovereignty questions. So that way they'll be able to be more informed, if elected, to do their job well. And also to know that we're here as a resource, the United Indian Nations of Oklahoma. Then highlighting from 5 o'clock to 7 is that we have a dear friend of ours, Chance Rush, and DJ Rudy Indigenous, that will be providing music, live music. And we will be setting up voter registration booths all in the foyer, and they can come in, and we have some great guest speakers. We've got Tatanka Means, plus other different organizations here in the state of Oklahoma. We have Bailey Walker, or a representative from the American Indian Chamber of Commerce, Nicholas Barton with the Southern Plains Indian Health Board, Victor Flores with Oklahoma Tribal Finance, Tasia Zintat with the Oklahoma Council on Indian Education, and she's also the chair of the National Indian Education Association, Sharon Scott with the Oklahoma Indian Tax Alliance, and Mary Mashunkashay, who is also with the National Indian Tax Association, and Jackie Hensley, who's with the University of Oklahoma State. I almost said OU, sorry about that. And then many others that we've also got different powwow clubs we've invited. We want to get everyone there and just get that momentum to go back home, get their friends, families. We need our tribal employees. We need our gaming family that to get out to the polls. It's about a sovereignty ticket. It's not about Democrat, Independent, or Republican. It's a sovereignty ticket that we're protecting a lot of our what we're for and how that provides our Oklahomans. We receive a lot of federal funding. We also provide a lot of jobs here in the state of Oklahoma. Sadly, just like education and on the national level, are we 49th in the country? Yeah, 49th. I've got some of my colleagues sitting here, but we're also 50th in getting out and voting on national elections. 50th in the country.
Well, it sounds like you're trying to do something to change that. I want to go back to the 453,000 people that are being stricken their names off the registration.
Yeah.
Tell me this. So my understanding is part of the people dying. We understand that they're not going to vote if they're dead. But do I understand this correctly? That if somebody has not voted in X number of elections, possibly their name is just stricken from that roll. Is that what's going on?
Absolutely. Well, it's called purged.
Yes.
And the governor has decided to do it today before a general election. Now, understandably, if people have passed away or moved out of the state, or for whatever reason, or decided they didn't want to vote anymore, I get that. Yeah. But to purge, if you haven't voted in 2 past presidential elections, you're purged. And I'm sure there's some other reasons, but it just happened today. So we need to refill those voters with the enthusiasm of 13% of all of Oklahoma is made up of Native Americans, and so we have a right to voice our who we want as elected officials. So, but that's where we're at on that. So
well, Margo, I guess I would suggest to the viewers, if you live in Oklahoma and even around the country, because this is nationwide, that if you know that I did it myself just to see if I'm still on it. I know I was on it because I get things for absentee ballots all the time. But right. We had done a story at Native News on registering to vote, and you go to the state, you go to your state, you hit that link, you go to vote.org. Go to the state, and in your case, Oklahoma, put your name in there. If you're not there, chances are you are no longer registered. So I'm telling you, to the Native people out there watching today, that verify that you're registered to vote. And if you've moved 2 times since the last presidential election, that's the last time you voted, you may get stopped at that precinct, say you can't vote here. So you need to go in right now is a great time to do it. And because what's the date, Margo? You told me earlier, is it October 11th?
Well, ours is October, in the state of Oklahoma, it's October 11th. They have up till October 11th. And I will say this, even though we're providing a QR code to do our voter registration for the state of Oklahoma, and also add your name to the Oklahoma Native voter registration list, so we can keep people updated.
I like that.
Where do
we get that? Where do we get that QR code? Because I think we did a story. I don't remember seeing the QR code about this event.
We will make sure you'll get that QR code.
Make sure you get that, Neely. We're going to put that into the story. Okay, great.
Okay, we will do that. And
Neely, you have another question, Neely?
Yeah, I was kind of wondering, since the Warrior Up to Vote is mainly centered around making sure that as many Native people are registered, and also making sure that the candidates, have a chance to kind of discuss Native issues. What are some of the big barriers to registration and to voting that Natives currently face in Oklahoma?
Well, a lot of it is if you live in rural Oklahoma, and also what they did, I believe it was almost over a year ago, is they changed your precinct. So if you haven't voted in 2 years or in 5, 6 years, 7 years, and you haven't checked your status, you could go to your poll, find out you're not even registered, and you may not even be at the right poll. They have they've done redistricting, and so in fact, where I live in Pahuska, my street is at one of the dividing lines, or 2 streets over is a dividing line. And my neighbor had asked me about that, and he goes, I went to go vote and I was at the wrong place, so I just didn't vote. And so, but the best way to vote is simply this. If you have time to just check, and if you're not, there's the forms. You can go to your county election and get those signed in, and just fill it out. It takes less than a minute to fill that out. It's your name, your address, where you live, and that's it. But absentee vote is a whole different thing. You have to have it. You have to have a person who's a notary document it. And if you're an elder and you don't have access, and a notary can only do 20 voter absentee ballots. Only 20. That's their limit.
Time out. You're telling me in the state of Oklahoma, in order to vote absentee ballot, it has to be notarized?
That's exactly right.
Oh,
so
my
if you have a way, if you have a way to go to your
I'm in Michigan. This is news to me. I don't have to have a notary. That is very, very, oh my goodness.
Yeah. That's why it's important to get people in there who want to encourage voter registration, not throw roadblocks into voter registration.
Because I'll tell you this, folks, you who are watching, there will be challengers at these polling things. This election is so critical that both sides, they're going to have people there checking everything. So right now, it's a good time to do it. Get your ducks in a row, as they say. If you even have a slightest doubt whether you're registered to vote and you're going to vote, make sure you do it out in Oklahoma before October 11th. And go to voters.org. You can go to your state and you can find out all the pertinent information, because vote.org has done a really great job, and we're working.
Yeah, they have.
We're working with them this year because we're really trying to get the native vote out. And so, and Margo, I love the title, Voter or Warrior Up to Vote. I just love that. And you got some incredible speakers coming out, and I'm going to try to send Neely out for one of those events at least.
That would definitely be exciting.
Well, we're having one in Tulsa's on the 30th, and in Oklahoma City, October 3rd. But in between that, when we're saying, I just said it, I said, if you're in question, go to your county election board. But if you can't, and you're not, you can't do it, that's why we're coming to you. That's why we're doing the tour. So there won't be any reason to not make it. And we're really advertising it across Oklahoma. And we really appreciate Native News Online and you, Neely, for doing this, because we have the technology now, and that's why it's so important for us to get our natives to the polls. That's it.
And I think all three of us are in agreement that the native vote is just so critical. And I really love your discussion about the sovereignty ticket. And it's not necessarily about the D or the R or the I. And
absolutely
borrow from Jefferson Keel, the former president of the National Congress of American Indians. He said, R, not D, but I, but not I for independent, I for Indian. Vote the Indian tickets. I love that. So.
Yeah. Well, we're pushing. Go ahead.
Well, that's something that we've seen NCAI mention like multiple times, and you've even mentioned it on this call, is something that you guys have started calling the sovereignty ticket. So I was wondering what issues is on Oklahoma Tribes' sovereignty ticket?
The sovereignty ticket is, we have, people don't believe that we have government-to-government relationship, which we do. We have it with the federal government. We have compacts and taxation issues with the state of Oklahoma. When we look at the amount of money and tourism that the tribes bring into this state, now, believe me, I'm just going to throw out the Oklahoma Municipal League because they are a friend and partner with us. And when we can make rural Oklahoma better and strengthen it, if we didn't have the tribes, we would be a Dust Bowl state, most definitely. But we are a job creator, and we're builders, and we are expanding healthcare throughout the state, and we make it accessible to natives and non-natives. We also are job opportunities. Like I said, when we're the number one or number two employer in the state of Oklahoma, but then the state will turn around and not even a couple of weeks ago, they said, we don't like your tribal reservation signs on our highways. We're going to take them all down.
Are you serious?
And that's,
oh my goodness.
yes, I'm serious. Yeah. And so
that's one more good reason for Native Americans to vote in Oklahoma. Represent folks. Represent,
that's
make
right.
sure your vote counts. Have a say in things. Wow.
That's right. And what's important is that, like, you know, at our high schools and at our college level, they weren't allowing our natives, young people, to be proud and wear their regalia and have, you know, their beadwork on their, you know, their mortarboards, and we were able to change that. We were, you know, the United Indian Nations advocated, along with our partners with the NIEA and the Oklahoma Council on Indian Education. That was a win, because we were having teachers and rip their plumes off of their hats.
Yeah,
it was horrific.
We did a story about that young lady a year and a half ago, maybe.
Yeah. And then if they have a law that they have not consulted the tribes to, if you look at Oklahoma is known for oil and gas, our aerospace industry, and if you think of the state legislature, if they were passing a law that impacted the aerospace industry without consulting those organizations that provide all that information and jobs in our aerospace industry, that would be rude and disrespectful, and they need to have that advocacy jointly. But when it comes to tribes and they want to pass some taxation law that on car tags or whatever it is that they're you know, they're up to at that point, but they don't consult with us. So we have a Native American caucus. We've been working with them. We've forged a stronger relationship with them. And so, you know, we've got our work cut out. We've spent a lot more time at the state capitol. We really have always focused on the national issues up in DC, but we have turned our eyes and we're zeroed in on state capitol, because we want to make sure, and we've got some really good people down there that we work with. Mm-hmm. And we hope that to get, you know, you got to vote to get the right people in. And, yes, but like I said, it's not Democrat, Republican, because we live in a red state. It's about the sovereignty, that we really want to push that sovereignty ticket. And that's what's important to us.
Margo, I think Native News Online, we're really are pushing the elections, and we just understand the importance of Native votes. So we're going to have more Bidaskes around the Native vote issue, and we're going to have some podcasts. So I'll tell you what, I'd like to get you, and if you can get Chief Ben Barnes from the Shawnee Nation, right? I would love to have him on, and let's talk about. I want to know, maybe even halfway through the tour, we'll do this again, because I'm excited about it. But man, the idea that the absentee ballots have to be notarized, it sounds a little suppressive, like they want to suppress some votes. And the idea they want to take the signs off the freeways with the tribes, that's just, we got to talk. Neely, why don't you close us out?
Thank you for joining us, Margo, and thank you for kind of talking with us about your Warrior Up to Vote tour. We're really excited to see what comes of that. And to our audience, thank you for watching this episode of Native Bidaské.
If you appreciate what we do here at Native News Online, we invite you to donate to support our continued work covering Indian country. You can scan this code with your smartphone or go to the link located below this video to donate today. We greatly appreciate your support. Please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And be sure to scan this code or go to the link below to subscribe to our newsletter. Thank you for joining us today, and please be sure to join us again next week for another episode of Native Bidaské. Chimi Gwech.